everybody. Today I'm going to be talking to you about social penetration theory. Social penetration theory was developed in 1973 by Taylor Altman and Taylor. And the theory seeks to explain why and how we begin to deepen relationships in the very first interaction with the person, and how we further deepen our relationships through the idea of self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is the voluntary sharing of personal history, preferences, attitudes, feelings, and values. Or in other words, the act of sharing personal aspects and information of your life to others. A common comparison made in this theory to describe the process of self-disclosure is the onion model. Essentially, people's lives and personalities have multiple layers like an onion. In this model, the outer layers are more trivial and shallow, describing things such as tastes, studies, preference of music, and clothing, whereas the inner layers are more deeply personal with information like goals, aspiration, religion, fears, and fantasy, even concept of self. The more you can continue to interact with a person, the more likely you are to peel back the layers to each other's core values and get a more intimate relationship with them. To fully explain self-disclosure and the concepts it covers, Altman and Taylor use two key terms, breadth and depth. To start, breadth describes the many facets of an individual's life. This includes dating, work, studies, family, and hobbies. Whereas depth describes the details that pertains to a person's breadth and the degree of disclosure a person is willing to give. When it comes to both of these topics, it's important to remember that self-disclosure, especially at the beginning of a relationship, is reciprocal. Now, Altman also uses a 5-step process to describe the idea of self-disclosure in relationships. The first stage is the orientation stage, or the small talk stage. This is where communicators become acquainted, mainly looking at dress and mannerisms, and it is heavily tied by social norms. If you're at a party meeting someone for the first time, you usually just talk about things like the weather and not your insecurities or some weird rash you have. Number 2 is exploratory affective stage, where communicators share more about themselves, like opinions of sports teams and politics. Casual friendships start here, and this is where most of our relationships end up and stay. Number 3 is affective stage. Communicators disclose personal and private matters. Here, people are more comfortable to argue and criticize, and romantic relationships begin to develop. Number 4 is going to be our stable stage. Communicators share an open, comfortable relationship, and oftentimes people can predict how the other person may react to certain things. Number 5 is our last and final stage. This is going to be deep penetration. When one or both communicators start to believe the costs of self-disclosure outweigh the benefits, so they'll withdraw from using that self-disclosure, thus ending the relationship. Whether it be face-to-face or online, this theory can apply to every interaction we have. So next time you meet someone for the first time, think about how an onion may help you socialize. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this helped for anybody out there.